And this is America's Mayor Live from Palm Beach. And since we're covering in part the president's press conference this morning on, or was it this afternoon? It was right around noontime, I think, about the climate revolution, in which the single most onerous regulatory burden ever placed on Americans was reversed with a signing of Donald Trump's signature. The endangerment finding of Barack Obama in 2009, which has cost our economy probably $1 trillion that didn't need to be spent, and retarded the ability of our auto industry and many other industries to advance, has now been lifted. So we'll get to that a little later in the show. So the mass murder in Canada, in British Columbia, in Tumbler Ridge, at the Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, which was, even as these mass murders go, the toll was pretty high. I mean, 8 people dead and 25 people wounded, and 6 of the 8 were children, 12, 13 years old, two adults, teachers, as well as the killer's mother and I believe either half brother or stepbrother, young boy, 5 years old or something. This is not getting terribly much attention in America. It's getting a lot in Canada, so I went to the Canadian newspapers to get most of this information. The murder was committed, and the guy killed himself after he killed all of those people. What was committed by a biological male who was suffering from major mental illness, who believed he was a female. Van Rutselier was his name. He killed his mother, whose name was Jennifer Strang. When the shooting took place, he was described as a female in a dress. He was actually a male in a dress. And he's had a very, very extensive history of exceedingly dangerous conduct, life-threatening conduct. He attempted to burn his house down, it appears twice. It's a little unclear the way the newspaper describes it. One incident, I think he did a lot more damage than the other. But he's been in and out of mental hospitals. He's been numerous times taken in by the police with an attempt to confine him involuntarily, I guess, to mental institutions. He keeps getting out. At some point, a year or two ago, the police were called to the house, which they describe it as, the mounted police describe it as, they've been called to the house many times with violent incidents that he was responsible for. Jesse Van Rutselaar. He's 18 years old. He began his transition 6 years ago, which would be at 12, right? At 12 years old. He left the school in which he killed children, and about 4 to 6 years ago, about the time he was going through this the beginning of this transition. And it's been one violent incident after another since then, with someone that it should be in a mental hospital. I mean, there's no doubt about it. This is a horrible, horrible situation that didn't have to happen if there was some degree of common sense in Canada. But I mean, we have the same problem here, so we can't be terribly judgmental about it, because this has happened in the United States any number of times, where someone does one of these mass murders, and there's every indication in the world that the person should not be walking the streets freely. Now, the issue that's come up, and in the Canadian newspapers, just a tremendous amount of defensiveness about the fact that he's transgender, and I would say that's the reason it's not getting much coverage in American newspapers, because they tend to conceal this, and particularly since whether it's just a look at the drawer or there's a connection. We've had several of these now involving transgender or transgender-related people. But Charlie Kirk's murderer was living with a guy who was a girl and had a tremendous number of writings, very defensive and very angry about the whole transgender situation. Either he or his girlfriend or boyfriend was a furry. Now, a furry is not funny. It's one of the genders. And these people really believe they're animals. Now, the lack of the way science was put aside here in the name of insane political ideology is a tragic consequence of the age we live in and the dominance of Marxism, because the end result of these Marxists is to destroy all standards that we have and have us live in a completely immoral society. Communism doesn't have any morals and doesn't want any, because it interferes with their dominance. So let's analyze this, independent of political ideology. For time immemorial, or for as long as even the budding science of psychology or psychiatry existed, gender dysmorphia was defined as a mental illness. And of course, it's a mental illness. It's a form of paranoid schizophrenia. Suppose I walked around thinking I was George Washington. There are people that do, right? I would be easily defined as a paranoid schizophrenic. Well, if I am a male, which I am, and somehow I start believing I'm a female, there's a distortion in my reasoning and my thinking that's at the level of a psychosis. The simple reality is that I'm not a female, but I think I am. And I'm not George Washington, but I think I am. Or I'm not able to fly if I jump off the building, but I think I can. And the level and degree of the pathology might be less, in some cases more, but it's a mental illness. Then the question becomes, and here's where the debate takes place: is it a mental illness that makes you more prone to violence or not? And I don't know the answer to that. And I don't know if the killings that have taken place, the one in Nashville and the Catholic school shooting, and that involved people that were transgender or deeply involved in the movement, if that's an indication of it, that's an indication that this is a form of mental illness that is more prone to violence than in other situations. But paranoid schizophrenia in general makes you rather prone to violence. That's what happens to homeless people. And a lot of them are paranoid schizophrenics, and then they're on the street, they're more and more isolated. And as they get more and more isolated, they become more and more violent. It may be in this situation, the more and more difficult it is for you to cope with this, the more some people tend to be violent and angry, because they've put themselves, and other people have misled them into a situation that is contrary to reality, and they're living in an unreal world, and they may not want to be there. I mean, there was an article today, I think, in the Wall Street Journal, by a transgender, a female who, before the age of 18, who describes herself. The article you should actually read; it's really quite good. She described herself and her friend as what we would call in the old days, way back when people were normal, we would call them a tomboy. She liked playing baseball and she liked doing things that boys do. That led them to start thinking, with a lot of encouragement from the school and the whatever medical people they were talking, that led them to have a lot of encouragement toward maybe they're really male and they want to be male. And she went ahead and had a mastectomy and hormone treatment. And now at the age of 19, she regrets it. She thinks that was all a phase that she was going through, that the warped, almost satanic medical situation we have today led her to make irreversible decisions about her body, or almost irreversible. And she's suing the medical providers, and I guess she's trying to follow up on the successful lawsuit in Texas of last week, because she's not a wealthy person, and she needs the money to get herself back to being a male, which is what she is. And just last week, the American Academy of Plastic Surgery surgeons put out a report saying that similar to many European countries, including Great Britain, where it's illegal to do any of this before you're 19 or older, even with parental consent, that the medical research now, a lot of it hidden in the United States and not dealt with, much of it happening in Europe where these changes are going on, indicates that the chances are overwhelming that when young people below the age of 18 start to doubt the reality of their body, that it is temporary, and that it most likely is going to change, and that the danger of suicide is much greater, not if you don't do the change, but if you do, and then as often happens, you end up in the situation that this person who wrote the article, or this person who sued, or many, many are in. And that, in fact, one of the things warping this, and this is not as often as it should be dealt with, but it's a terrible problem of our health, medical, industrial complex. It's very profitable to do this. There is a tremendous motive on behalf of medical staffs and hospitals and to move you toward gender-changing surgery or treatment. I mean, these procedures can cost $400,000 or $500,000, and there are not too many things where you're going to get $400,000 or $500,000 in an era in which doctors and medical personnel think they're not being compensated correctly. And we're long past, I hope, the idea that doctors are any different than anyone else. Their level of greed and their level of lying and fraud and dishonesty is as great as any other group of people. And since they're under great stress, it might be a little higher. I mean, you learned that during the COVID situation, in which the instructions coming out of the doctors who were following the desires of the pharmaceutical industry disregarded preserving human life. But they made a lot of money. A lot of people became millionaires, billionaires, and who knows what. There's a whole thing now. The FDA is turning down Moderna for another vaccine, and the Wall Street Journal is all upset about that. I think part of the reason is that the FDA doesn't trust Moderna, given what they did with the COVID vaccine, which, if you look at the research outside the United States, or the research in the United States that's somewhat buried, there are a couple of things that are absolutely clear, whether you look at it or not. It's a complete misnomer to say COVID vaccine. A vaccine prevents an illness. From the very beginning, after a month, maybe two, it was clear this vaccine didn't prevent COVID. We were misled and lied to when Biden said, this will end COVID, and if you don't take it, you're endangering the lives of other people. But then it got worse. Then it was clear that this vaccine has side effects that were never properly evaluated before, because it was exempted from the procedure that exists for testing a vaccine more carefully than usual medication, because they're more complex, and they can often have, and this one was completely new because it wasn't using the tried and true method of giving you the illness and you develop then an immunity to it, giving you the illness at a lower stage, like they do with the older flu vaccines. But this was readjusting your genetic makeup. Now, we don't know the consequences of that. That's actually the vaccine that the FDA just turned down. Moderna is trying to do a vaccine like the COVID vaccine to substitute for the flu vaccine, so they can pick up all the money that the companies get for the flu vaccine. Since we don't mandate the flu vaccine, but we sure have an enormous amount of pressure to get it. And but the flu vaccine, as it's presently constituted, is an old-fashioned vaccine that theoretically gives you the flu, and then you're immune from it, except they can only make you immune to a certain number of possible flu varieties of, I probably don't have the right word. And it's guesswork as to which one we're going to be facing this year. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But at least it doesn't have a catastrophic, in some cases, side effects the way the Moderna and Pfizer and vaccines have. So this is changing in America, and I mean, due in great measure to the Trump administration and Robert Kennedy, but this is a tragedy. Now we see it playing out in Canada. That these kids, the minute they express any normal confusion about their sexuality, there is virtually an industry ready to rush them into the operating room and start chopping them up. It's so bad that in the state of Minnesota, which it's got to be Sodom and Gomorrah, Minneapolis, Ted. In the state of Minnesota, if let's say you're 15 years old, you can run away from home, you can go there, and you can have a sex change. And you don't have to tell your parents. And Tampon Tim will protect you. Largely because Tampon Tim, we won't go through it now, but we can anytime you want, is got to be some kind of a red Chinese agent. And willing to do everything he can to destroy our civilization. Because if you think of all the things he's involved in, and you look at his history with Red China, how many times he's gone there, and we don't know the dimension of how much money he's gotten from them, but he's gotten money from them. And he's allowed to go back there and teach 15, 16 times. If you're going back there to teach, you're teaching communism, baby. I mean, you really are. And they're very comfortable with you. They're not going to let you go teach in China if you're going to go teach about Western civilization or about Christianity or about Judaism or about the history of the West, or you got to go back there and reinforce communism. And the only reason they let him come so many times, every time he came, he brought 50 or 60 kids that were being brainwashed by China. This is intolerable. But this is what's going on. So when you hear about this trans situation, the end result of the distortion and the horrible things that have been done for these kids is to make a lot of money, which is maybe at the core of most of the wrongdoing that goes on. Now, speaking of money, our economy is really fascinating to watch. By and large, our economy is doing very, very well compared to our experiences and our now the numbers reflect that and reality reflects it. There are some things where we are still recovering. We haven't quite gotten through it yet, and there are other things in which you haven't felt the full effect of the changes that have been made, and they're beginning to kick in. I'll give you one example of that. The job numbers this month were fantastic. We were supposed to create half the number of jobs that we ended up creating in January. And there had been some weakness in the job numbers in 2025. Part of the reason for that is that the federal government has fired hundreds of, I think, a couple 100,000 people, and they didn't find jobs right away. Now we have an unbelievable situation in January. There was a decrease of 48 or 49,000 in government jobs in January. You would think that therefore would be a real impact on the creation of jobs, but there were 160,000 jobs net created, and all of them to the benefit of the private sector. Now, why is that such good news? That's good news because you're actually getting full value out of that. With a government employee, when you collect taxes, right, you're paying him more or her more than the taxes you collect. Right. With a private employee, it's a full benefit to the federal government. In other words, the government's not paying the salary. The government's just getting the benefit of whatever the tax is. And since we have distorted the federal government, and I believe there's probably at least 50 to 60% more employees than we need. There's an endless amount of cutting that can be done. They have done a good job, and the balance last month was fabulous between the two. Probably the best balance we've had in maybe ever. If we keep doing that, and this economy is going to be, it's going to be impossible to really predict where it's going to be in 4 or 5 or 6 months. But this is part of the transition that's going on, and that part now is kicking in. Meanwhile, the market is at a record level, which affects directly 54% of the American people. It's no longer, oh, gee, the market's up, it just helps the billionaires, the millionaires. Go take a look at how most people have funded their retirement. It depends on the market. And they just had a tremendous year because of Trump. And the benefit, the tax reductions that took place haven't hit yet. That's gonna happen in April. And the regulatory changes, which were substantial, and the one today, the biggest of all, some of that has had an effect on the economy. And when you look at an inflation, which was a worry under Biden, almost of historic levels, even the inflation that the president wasn't comfortable about was still less than 3% last year, which is usually considered a good year for the government, except if Trump is the president. Right. Now it's getting closer to 2%. And all of the impact on inflation that was predicted is not happening. Now, we're going to have an inflation report on Friday, and I'm going to warn you, they actually believe it's going to be pretty good. But the reality is I don't, because January's are terrible. January's tend to, if you go back and you look at the January last year and the year before, and 3 out of 4 times the January inflation is the highest inflation of the year. Because think about it, the new year, and that's when businesses tend to increase prices if they're going to increase prices. And that stops later on in the year. And whatever the inflation in January is probably going to be the highest you have all year, and it's going to start to go down. So there's where we are on the economy, and it's extraordinarily exciting to see what's going on. It's also extraordinarily exciting to see what's going on in NATO and even in Canada, where we have Trump is putting tremendous amount of pressure on Canada. First of all, they have a horrible government. They have a left-wing government and a prime minister that is at the far end of silly. And their economy is for shit. However, one thing that we've done to them is we made them very aware of their defensive lack of capacity and the danger that they're in. And they, in their budget this year, they have substantially, this is a left-wing government, they substantially increased their military and defense spending. Substantially increased it. Yeah, that's only happening because Trump is pressuring them so damn much. And so is Europe, because they're so afraid that Trump is going to invade Greenland. He's virtually changed NATO into a really, not quite yet, a really full partner like Israel is and Japan is going to be. But they're moving there. They're moving there. I mean, to get them to 2%, no president ever got them to 2%. And now they're moving to 5% of their GDP invested in defense. That will be a substantial benefit. That'll give us a real partner in defense. And we're not relying on that because we're moving to the highest defense numbers we've had since the Second World War. But this Arctic Defense Force, believe me, this Arctic Defense Force would not be happening if he hadn't made all the fuss about Greenland. Right. So when he does these things, would you please look a little further beyond the Trump derangement syndrome idiots? So the North Atlantic Treaty Organization announced yesterday, this comes from a Canadian newspaper, by the way, that it has launched a mission to strengthen its presence in the Arctic. It's called Arctic Sentry Mission. And this was going to be a temporary thing. Now they're going to make it permanent. And Canada has now announced through its defense minister, Anita Anand, that they wanted to, NATO's new Sentry Arctic mission should become a permanent part as part of a greater focus on the North for the Western Alliance. This comes from the defense minister of Canada. NATO announced Wednesday that it's launched this mission to strengthen its presence in the Arctic. And it's part of it is clearly to diffuse the tension between Donald Trump and his desire to take Greenland. They're trying to solve the problems that Trump has raised as to why America should take Greenland, because we're not adequately defended against Russia and China. And Arctic Sentry is going to coordinate the military presence of NATO allies and the United States, including substantial number of exercises in the Arctic, in which there are joint operations involving, and now so far Britain, Britain and Belgium and Denmark, and it looks like Germany have agreed to participate with the United States in missions testing exactly how much we have to increase in the Arctic, and Canada is pushing this. The Canada defense minister said Canada's role in NATO has historically been one where we export our defense to Europe. It's the moment in time where NATO must look north and not only east, where they must increase their presence in the Arctic area, because that's the logical way in which Russia or China would attack not just the United States, but Europe.
Right.
And also, they are presently deploying submarines in that area all the time.
Well,
and the number of defense installations for submarines is going to be increased 8 to 10 times. So, as the Secretary General of NATO pointed out, this entire operation, and the Canadians have also made this point, is aimed at both Russia and China, which makes Carney, Prime Minister Carney's dalliance with Red China absolutely stupid, which it's being done to irritate Trump. And you don't endanger the national security of your country because you're angry at the President of the United States, because he's pushing you to do what you should be doing anyway. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with a very special guest. Come on. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep green, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month.
Wow.
Including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep green, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. And we have with us Eduardo Bolsonaro. Now, you know that name because his dad was elected president of Brazil in 2022. And you'll also remember that shortly before he was elected president, it was an attempted assassination. I believe he was stabbed, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, 3 or 4 times, and almost lost his life. And still, a month later, it went right back to campaigning and became president because it was so important to his country. Because the prior president was in jail because he was a massive crook. Well, the prior president was let out of prison on a technicality, not that he was not guilty, but that he was tried in the wrong place. It would be like, they tried him in New York instead of New Jersey, but he still stole an enormous amount of money. Then they had an election in 22.
Yeah.
And in 22, Lula said he won the election, and every outside observer is quite convinced that it was stolen. But worse than that, his father's now in jail. But his brother, Flavio, who's a senator from Rio, he was a congressman from Sao Paulo, is running for president and is leading. And to me, the biggest question is, number one, are they going to attempt to kill him? And number two, how do you stop him from cheating like we had to do after the 2020 election so we can have a fair election in 2024?
That's a very good question, Mayor. First,
of course, they attempted to kill Trump twice.
Yes.
Before the election. Of course, a lot of people think that was
twice that we know.
Twice, yeah. And a lot of people think it's not connected to politics, but they're extremely naive.
The guy who stabbed my father, he's a former member of the Socialism and Liberty Party. He's the kind of politician that when they did come here to the United States, they have meetings with Bernie Sanders, AOC, And
I'm sure the new mayor of New York, who's a full-fledged communist and Islamic supporter of Islamic terrorism.
Yes, it's the same virus that we have in the United States.
Amazing?
The problem in Brazil is that we have less antibodies.
Yeah.
So that is the problem that we have there. And a very powerful Supreme Court. And usually what our American friends ask us is, how can a justice be so powerful?
Your Supreme Court legislates.
Everything. They execute, legislate.
And acts as the president and the legislature.
Yes. But in the 2022 elections, Mayor, what happened is that they were fully backed by the Biden administration. I have to tell you. First, money from
Lula was fully backed. Now, Lula is a complete, absolute. I did some work in Brazil in 2013, 2014, when you had the Olympics, some security advising.
Yes, I know.
And he and his whole party is completely corrupt.
They stole a lot of money during that World Cup.
And I thought they would never put him in jail because of the just the corruption. It would be hard, but they got him in jail, and then
they released him from the jail because it's the only one that people could believe that could defeat Bolsonaro. Because Bolsonaro was so strong, bringing so much people to the streets, to the rallies. So they released the Lula basically from the jail and put him as president.
Right.
And in 2022 election, not only Lula, but this justice, crazy one, his name is Alexandre de Moraes from the Supreme Court. So he was backed by the Biden administration. 1 year before our elections, we received a lot of official visiting from the Biden administration in Brazil. Victoria Nuland, Bill Burns, which is the general director of the CIA,
Right.
Jake Sullivan, NSA, Mr. Secretary of Defense Lloyd, and some others. And basically what they did is, look, you have to recognize the result of the elections. Other way, we are going to sanction you. There is a very good article from the Financial Times, so they cannot say that is a right-wing radical
yeah,
newspaper, talking in details about it. A very, very good one, I have to tell you. And money from USAID. So at least one of the movements, it was $5 million that did arrive in Brazil to create our great fact-checking agencies in Brazil. $5 million for that. But these agencies, to finish this
This
first...
is so similar to what these crooks do in America.
It's the same playbook. It's the same playbook. And the reports made by these fact-check agencies, it was the reports used by the justice to shut down hundreds of conservative profiles on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So they do not have anymore the support from the Biden administration because Trump is here.
Yeah.
Not anymore the money from USA, the NAD, Atlantic Council. And for sure, United States is going to be looking for that. Because democracy is not only go there and vote, because sometimes even dead people vote, right?
Of course, of course.
So I think that it would be a great thing. I don't know if Trump administration, State Department, if you declare some standards to recognize a country as a democratic country.
Right.
You know, because if you look at Venezuela, they have Supreme Courts, they have elections, they have a Congress, but everybody agreed that it's not a democracy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the election rigging that goes on all over the world originated in Venezuela under Chavez.
Smartmatic in the past. I know that I have problems with Domino here in the United States.
Yeah.
And our election is fully electronic, Mayor. Fully. You go to the place, you dial the number of your candidate, then you pray that in Brasilia, the 20 bureaucrats in a secret room are going to counter vote properly. It's a mess. I would be glad if we had the same system of Venezuela.
Yeah.
Because in Venezuela, they have they print the vote at least. They use machines, but they print the vote. And that's how Maria Corina Machado had a way to do a parallel counting of the votes and then prove that they won at least with 60% of the votes.
Right.
It would be very smart if we have the support of the international community to do that in Brazil.
Well, do you think you'll have international inspectors for the election? You should.
Yes. We do have. But usually they go there and say, okay, everything is fine.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's like the UN. I mean, they're basically.
I was going to say that. It's like the UN.
Like the UN. Why the heck is the Biden administration so interested in getting Lula elected in Brazil? Because they're both Marxists. They're left-wing.
They are crazy ideology. I'll have to be honest with you, Mayor.
They're really communists. I mean, we might as well be honest about it. Lula, from the time he started, was a communist.
He's an old-fashioned communist. Now he's very close of some of the globalists, but he's doing bad things every time that you see United States and Trump getting one position, he's on the other hand.
Right. And most of Latin America, South, is moving. There have been a lot of conservative victories in
Yes,
South, both in Central America and in South America.
You just had Costa Rica, you have Tito Asfura in Honduras, Bukele in El Salvador for sure, Santiago Peña in Paraguay, Javier Milei in Argentina, now Cast in Chile. It's our really...
And Brazil's the biggest country.
Yes, we are half of America.
By a lot. I mean, a lot of people don't realize you're not too far from the United States in terms of population.
No. Some parts of Brazil in the Amazon, it takes like 5 hours to go to Miami and more than 5 hours to go to the south of Brazil.
Right.
It's really close.
Now, what's the population? About 200 million?
200. We are almost 220 million.
Yeah, so there you go. So it's 2/3
Right.
the size of the U.S. And it's by far, what's the second, Argentina?
Yes, second is Argentina.
Yeah.
But Argentina is like about 50 million people, if I'm not wrong.
I mean, there's a big difference.
We are 4 times more. And we are way more, like 80 times more than Venezuela. So if you are suffering here with immigration coming from Venezuela, you have a lot of good people, but you also have a lot of illegal, like Brazilians too. Imagine Brazil. If we bring these numbers to Brazil, if Brazil becomes Venezuela, we are talking about 50 million people leaving the country, it would be a problem for the whole region.
Well, the original Venezuela immigration to the United States was very positive for the United States. Very negative for Venezuela. They lost all of their productive people.
Yes.
The one under Biden, when he opened the borders completely, was really organized by Maduro's government. And they emptied out their prisons. They sent us their mental cases, and they
criminals
sort of followed
sometimes.
the thing that Castro developed with Carter way back in, I guess it would have been 1978, 79.
I born 84.
Yeah, before you were born. When I first went to the Justice Department as the Associate Attorney General, I had a deal with the Mario boat lift.
All right.
Carter said anybody from Cuba that wants to come to the United States should come to the United States. And what we meant by that is to escape communism.
Yes.
So Castro sat back and said, "You want everybody? I'll send you everybody. Get my criminally insane, send them over." And he very intelligently, more so than Maduro, very intelligently mixed them in with very honest people. So if you look at the whole thing, it's roughly about 100,000 really great people who were escaping communism and joining their families in America that had already escaped. But then he threw in about 30,000 of his worst criminals, took them out of mental institutions, murderers, insane murderers. And all of a sudden, Miami went from being one of those peaceful parts in America, places in America, to one of the most dangerous. And it took a while to straighten that all out. And that's a communist playbook. I mean, it's part of what they do.
Yeah.
So now, what is your brother? How are you organizing this so we make sure he's okay? We make sure he's okay. I mean, this is important for the world. It's not just important for Brazil. Brazil really more than any other country in Latin America, South America, could really have a real impact. I mean, you could be you should be, and you could be a gigantic economy.
Yeah, and we
Natural resource.
No. Well, we just jumped right into this, Mayor, and I just wanted to quickly go over Mr. Bolsonaro's background, if that's okay for our audience.
Yeah, a lawyer and a
former
federal police officer.
Our version of Congress, of course.
Yes.
Federal police officer,
lawyer,
the third child.
Yeah.
Right. The third child of the former president, of course, Bolsonaro, and. I guess my one question for our audience, you based a large American audience, explain to our viewers the importance of having a strong government in Brazil, right? A government that can work well with the United States and share some of the ideals that we share here in the United States.
Well, we have a lot of things to do together. For example, Paraguay and Argentina, with Spain and Milei, they are cooperating with United States in terms of security. And one problem that we have is the presence of Hezbollah and Hamas on the tri-border between Paraguay, Argentina, and Brazil.
Bingo.
For example, is the border that they used after the bombing in 92 and 94, the Israeli embassy and the AMIA. They ran away from that part of the country to fly back to Middle East or North Africa. This is only one point. So Argentina and Paraguay are cooperating. I ask you why Brazil is not cooperating? Because Lula is tied with Hamas. Lula is openly supporting Hamas. He's the world leader that most talks about Hamas and against Israel because they are fully ideological. It's a madness, just like you have here in some radical left people in the Democratic Party. So this is one thing. Other thing, we make border with the biggest producers of cocaine, which have a lot of impact here. I know that you are suffering a lot with the drugs, with the fentanyl and all of that. So instead of bringing this headache to United States, maybe we could work in the roots,
right?
And do not let these criminals be comfortable there in Brazil.
Right.
We can create cooperation in rare earths, which is very key for United States, for the AI.
Right, AI, rare earths, those are very critical.
In the energy area, there is a field to work together.
Right.
A field.
Right.
Can you get my map?
That's right. And the mayor, we're going to put up one of his.
I'm a map person.
There it is. So
there it is.
I love it.
Look at the size of Brazil territorially.
It's half of South America.
Half of South America.
You've taken out half.
And in population, it's more than half. In population,
I mean, just compared
Argentina
to
Argentina is 50,000.
Yeah, 50 or 45 or
So
45 to
yeah.
50 million.
Right.
Million people.
The strangest one of all I've always loved since I was a kid. I love geography. Is Chile.
Me too.
Chile. Yeah.
Look at Chile. Chile's in purple over there. Just runs right.
I wonder how at its
Yeah.
narrowest point, how wide is Chile?
But it runs right. It just tracks Argentina. Right
Because
there.
they are between the Pacific and the Andes.
Mountains.
So-
I'm guessing it's very mountainous.
yeah, the mountains are really high. This is what one from the one part is Argentina, on the other side is Chile.
Right. Okay.
They produce very good wine. It's a
Yeah.
great country. I love
Really
Chile.
great. Yeah.
Great wine.
But it's a strange configuration. It must be a very, like, if you're a senator or a congressman, your district must be weird. Look at that. Look at the way
Right.
it runs down. Now that has a good government, right?
Yeah, now, yes. Now just got elected. The inauguration is the beginning of March of the new president, Jose Antonio Cast, center right wing man, very good one, and we are expecting good news policies coming from Chile. For sure, a friend of the United States
The real
now.
tragedy for me, because the place I worked the most in South America was
Colombia, all right.
during the effort against the FARC, and who threatened to slit my throat,
Yeah,
which I'm very proud of.
Álvaro Uribe almost got done with the FARC.
Yeah, the FARC was done, and then terrible mistake in allowing them to come back into politics. What a mistake!
Yes, not really trying to do kind of mediation. They did go to the ballots, asking to the people if they would like to pardon the FARC. People said no, but the president at that time, Santos, he said, "I don't care," and he pushed it
President was
forward.
a good friend of mine,
And he
and I
pushed
did a
it
lot of work for
forward.
him.
Yeah, and he pushed forward this agreement, which basically, I think we have 1 or 2 elections where the FARC, they created a political party, and they have a quote of, I don't know, 2, 3, or 4 seats in the Senate. So people didn't agree. I don't think it was the right thing to do. If people say
It was a terrible mistake. And Santos was the head of the police during most of Uribe's successful effort against the FARC, and was a very tough guy. And this was like a total shock and switch, and a lot of it, sort of pressure and ridiculous advice from the international community. And I think he was even going against his instincts when he did it. This is a guy that was like,
no one was expecting that.
Well, except for Uribe, right? He was the number 2 hero of the big effort against the FARC, and then he got elected after Uribe. Uribe had to, even Uribe tried to, who I love. I mean, he's one of the greatest presidents in
yes,
the modern times, but he was sort of flirting with a third term. You know,
I think in Colombia nowadays you only can have 1 term.
Two terms. Well, then you could have 2 terms.
I'm not sure, Mayor.
But so I helped Santos win his second election. We went and did a crime reduction. We did a crime reduction with Medellin, and within a short period of time, we got it down by 52%.
In 2005, a constitutional amendment was passed allowing for 1 consecutive re-election, enabling President Uribe to win a second term. However, in 2010, that constitutional court declared that a third term was unconstitutional, reverting back to the strict limitation.
And then Santos ran with Uribe's support and won.
Yes.
And then the two of them it was almost an ego thing. They sort of separated somewhat. And Santos wanted to go off on his own. And he almost didn't win a second term. And he used our success in 2 cities bringing down crime. And he exaggerated how much we brought crime down in Medellin. He said we brought it down 90%.
I think Medellin was an example of
but we got
how
52% was quite remarkable. But he said 90%. Contradict him, which I felt really bad. He won. And that's when he made the second term is when he kind of became much softer. And I thought at the time, I sort of trusted him. And I thought, well, maybe he knows something I don't know. But it seemed ridiculous that you would allow these people back in. At minimum, they should be banned from politics forever.
Yes, because The only places that I see that reduce the criminality, there is only way to do that is
Yeah.
combating.
Yeah, but they were there. Colombia was there. It was on its way to being a really, really successful country. And then now we got
Now is
another communist.
now the current president is really I'm trying to think in a word that I can tell
He's
here in
very
front of the
unpopular.
cameras. Yeah, he's very unpopular.
The question is, can his they've got like
My wife watched me and she said, "Oh, do not repeat this kind of word." Sometimes I say bad words.
Oh yeah. Well, the cameras are here and here, but
unpopular is not a bad word. You can say unpopular.
oh, unpopular.
Unpopular
is
is fine.
fine. Right.
The words that I'm thinking here.
Oh, yeah.
I
I know
don't think
what
it's a
you're
good idea to
thinking.
say.
I know
Oh,
what
my
you're thinking.
goodness.
I'm thinking the same. I may say it if you don't.
Well, and for our audience, it's almost as if in Brazil they were able to the left wing was even more successful than they were here in taking down their opponents, right? They tried to put President Trump in jail. I mean, and I truly feel somehow these people were at least involved in one of these
It's the same playbook.
assassination
It's the
attempts.
same playbook.
Right.
It's the same
Right.
playbook.
And in Brazil, they
could
made
have
it further.
We were fortunate that the president
Yes.
was able to
win,
could
to
have-
pull-
They
yeah.
could have been successful.
Well, if we didn't put the pressure on regarding 2020, they would have
They
likely
made some
done it. this
tactical
time.
mistakes. First of all,
Kamala Harris.
they shouldn't have indicted him 4 times.
Picking Kamala Harris, right?
They shouldn't have indicted him 4
Thanks
times.
God.
Right. Thank goodness.
They shouldn't have done it 4 times. But by the
Right.
time you got to the second and the third indictment, unless you were a fool, you could figure out this was all political.
Right.
And they were actually, I think, going to indict him a 5th time.
Right.
And they didn't do it because they started to realize we're electing him.
This is
People saw through it. If they had done just one case
Right.
in the District of Columbia,
Right.
it might have been very different.
No,
The
in
District of
Brazil-
Columbia was completely in their pocket.
right.
See, Mayor, in Brazil is the same thing. They thought that jailing Jair Bolsonaro would end with the right-wing movement there that my father leads. But when you see he's saying, "Okay, I cannot run because I'm in jail," and by the way, the authorities that our opponents, they say that they're not going to repeat the same mistake of United States, which means let Jair Bolsonaro, who is the Trump from the tropics, to run in the election. That's why he's in jail, because he's so strong politically.
100%.
But even though let his son that he just appointed like less than 2 months ago, he appointed my brother, who is a senator, Flávio Bolsonaro, to run for president in the elections that we are going to have in October this year. And he's leading some polls or tied in all of the other polls. So he's doing great. And the campaign basically didn't start.
Mhm.
I mean, it's starting now.
Has your father become more popular as a result of they're putting him in jail?
I think
people
so.
moved toward him more.
Because
They must understand what's happening, right?
Yes. Because in the end of the day, people realize you do not have anymore the monopoly of the mainstream media. So people get information all around the social media or through internet.
Yeah, good.
And they see that how the bad things that they are doing, because sometimes you have drug dealers, murderers that are not treated like Jair Bolsonaro is having now as during his service in the jail. So people look for that. It's like a Rocky Balboa movie, when Rocky Balboa is getting punched, and everybody started to cheer for him.
Yeah.
In the end we win. So hope so, and I hope God that we are going to win. So, but this is the same feeling. Because, for example, I'll give you one example. Why Jair Bolsonaro is sued in the Supreme Court? He's a former president. He's a common man.
Mm-hmm.
Former President Lula da Silva, former President Michel Temer, they were sued in a district court with a local judge.
Mhm.
Why Bolsonaro is in the Supreme Court? So they changed.
So sued is a criminal case, though.
Yes.
So we use sue for just civil cases.
Oh,
we
right.
would say indicted for a criminal
Indicted.
case.
All right.
So, but that's very it's a different system than ours. But our Supreme Court exists just for appeals. The only trial that can take place in the Supreme Court is if two states sue each other. Then that goes directly to the Supreme Court. But everything else has to start in a trial. You have to have a trial first in a trial court.
Yep. So they grabbed the case because they said that Jair Bolsonaro was somehow related with January 8th events. You had it here January 6th,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah.
We had that January,
January
8th,
6th,
2023.
insurrection that was the only unarmed insurrection in the history of the
Yes,
world.
no guns, no shots.
Yeah.
And they jailed the ladies of more than 17 years old.
Yeah, I know.
We
And-
have ladies
and
now
it's-
serving.
And I should tell you, I knew that the night that it happened because I got a video showing that it was showing that it was obviously orchestrated, and they deliberately killed a young lady. It was terrible. I wear her.
I remember
Babbitt.
is the from
Ashley
the
Babbitt, former
military.
member of the military. She was unarmed. She was trying to get into Speaker Pelosi's office. The police had more or less let them in. The police were guarding it, and then they just gave it up. And there was no reason to shoot her. There were like 13, 14 police officers around that easily could have stopped it. And this guy out of nowhere shot her, and they kept his identity secret.
Should I get it in the neck, right?
Yeah, she shot her. Yeah, he had to ignore two guys who were banging down the door who possibly were a danger to him in order to shoot her. But I wear this all the time until they.
Oh,
I believe
26, never forget.
that the person there, it is Ashley Babbitt.
Oh, there.
Right there. That's Ashley right there. I keep that with me until there's justice in that case. And there should be. I come from New York City, and the New York City Police Department never, ever closes a murder case until they solve it. They'll keep it open forever, 200 years. Every once in a while, they solve one 40, 50 years ago because life is so important.
Yeah.
It's a demonstration. It used to be so important in Western civilization. We've eroded the value of life in so many ways.
Sure.
But your dad, who I met several times, including, I think, at the UN.
In one of the opportunities I was together with
we hugged
him.
each other, and we were both crying.
Yeah, he was talking about the stabbing that he suffered in 2018.
Because I realized what happened to him, and I also think that this is a great time for North America and South America, because this is the first administration that really is building very close relationships with South American countries. Every president promises to do it. Every president, since I'm a kid, would say, we don't pay enough attention to South America. We pay too much attention to Europe and Asia, which we should, but we don't pay attention to our neighbors, who could be enormously valuable allies. And all of a sudden now you see the benefit, and I think a lot of it is the president, who's always felt that way, felt the way I did, but also Marco Rubio,
yes,
who has in his heart, coming from Cuba, and
yes,
he intensifies the president's focus on South America, make sure he gives it more attention than other presidents have. And look at what's happening.
Yes, and everybody is not only expecting, it's bringing a lot of hope when you see someone from is used inside home to listen about how bad is a socialism and dictatorship that his parents had in Cuba, and having contact with people from Venezuela. And we really believe that Trump administration is something that it was sent by God.
Yeah.
Because I cannot even imagine, Mayor, if Kamala Harris got elected, what would it be about our region, like Iran, Israel, Brazil, Venezuela, Cuba, all of that. It would be a mess, because Biden administration, they messed it so much with all of the countries everywhere. I travel a lot. I've been in 50 countries all around the world. I just came back from a trip from Middle East. I did go to Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, Israel. Everywhere, all the authorities, no one praised Biden. No one say, no, this guy was great.
No, it was
this
terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, he was beyond. I mean, I'm the one who uncovered his criminality. For years, he got away with it, and these people came to me from Ukraine, and then I investigated it, and I uncovered the bribe that he got from Ukraine. He and his son probably took $20 million out of Ukraine. But the worst one of all is Red China paid his family $20 to $30 million in the 5 years before he was president. And one of the first things he did when he went into the White House was give up the air base 400 miles from China, 400 miles from Iran, and 500 miles from Russia. An American president giving up that air base, it got to be crazy. It got to be crazy.
Afghanistan, the withdrawal.
In Afghanistan, when we gave up the air base, we had no intention of giving up the air base. We've had that air base forever. And we have air bases all over the world.
We have our planes, Super Tucanos there.
We've got a base in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
We don't give up air bases. It's ridiculous. And for me, having been a prosecutor, if you got $21 million and you give up an air base that nobody else would give up, I can't believe there was a connection between the two things. You're not going to convince me there's not a connection between the two things. But I mean, someday we may really need that air base. Being 400 miles from China with an air base is extraordinary.
Sure.
Now the closest thing we have is at 1,500 miles.
Right. And you've pointed that out from the moment
the president points it
happened.
Out also.
And the president, of course, does as well. So, Mr. Bolsonaro, how can our American audience keep in touch with you, follow you, see what you're up to in the days, weeks, months, years ahead? I think we're seeing a live chat
between now. Do you have a primary? Like, you have a primary before your major? You just go right to the election.
Yeah, all of the political parties, they have the right to launch candidacy. So if someone wants to run for president, we have about 20 or maybe 30 parties. All of them, they're not going to do that, but all of them, they can have someone running for president. Mm-hmm. So my party already decided that my brother is going to run, because it was a decision that did come from my father. And that's it. We are very happy because in the polls, he's showing that he's great.
And on the other side, Lula will be the candidate again?
Yes, it's polarized. It will be my brother against Lula. That'll be.
Are there other candidates?
We will have other candidates from the right wing and some of others left, but they'll do like the left, they'll do 1% maybe, and on the right wing they will do 5% or 6%. But you cannot compare with the 40-something% that my brother is doing.
Right. Like in
the second round will be everybody together.
In Colombia, they're trying very hard to see if they can consolidate behind one candidate.
Yeah, there are two main candidates there.
Yeah,
in opposition.
And the problem is, if you could consolidate behind one, you'd probably win.
Mm-hmm.
But if you spread it out and the left can consolidate, you're going to lose.
But the thing is, I'm not sure about how the election works in
they have a primary
in Colombia. I don't know, Mayor. I know.
And their election's in May. I mean, it's
in May. It's very soon. Very soon. I mean, on our side, I can tell you that it doesn't matter how many candidates we have from the right-wing scenario, because all of them, they will be criticizing Lula, which is good for us.
Yeah, sure.
So when you go to a debate, it's better to be together with, 2, 3 other candidates in the same vibration of you, with the same feeling of you. And then on the second round, everybody will be together. So for sure, it doesn't matter.
There is a second round.
Yes. 3 weeks after the first round, we have the second round.
If no one gets 50.
Yeah, if no one reach 50%.
Given the number of candidates, nobody will get 50%.
Yes. So for us, it's nice to have more candidates for the right wing, and but you cannot kill each other. You cannot criticize that high in a way that you
got to be careful, right? You got to be, very often in a situation like that, in the first election, the number one person gets beaten by the number two person. I mean, that happens. People don't realize that system, but it's because you probably have more parties.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you have that first election, the votes can be divided a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then when you go to the second election,
they consolidate.
Yeah. Then you have a much fairer comparison.
It happens. Yeah. It happens sometimes. Yes.
But we're very anxious about both elections in Colombia and in Brazil a great deal.
And the thing is, on the left wing, on the left side, Lula da Silva, he doesn't have anyone to help him in the second round. My brothers will have some other governors from the south of Brazil that might run for president, but everybody knows that in the second round, it'll be all together. So it makes us very confident. I'm very confident that my brother is going to win.
When your father won the first time, he was kind of an outside candidate, right? I mean, he had
my father, because he was almost 30 years in the Congress in a very corrupt country with no corruption scandals involving him. So it was...
Which was really unusual.
Yes. But you know, his static is it's always avoid money, even legal money. If you're from the private sector, you want to bring money to my father for the campaign, he was always saying, "Thank you very much, but no, 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 no." And then he survived these 3 decades in a Congress. It's like some people say that it was like Winston Churchill, like only one talking the things that he was talking about, paying attention Cuba, paying attention Venezuela, drug cartels, and all of that. And in the end,
I think a lot of people still remember him, but when he won and he was in office, he was very popular in the United States.
very
I mean,
no. If I
people
show
loved
you,
him. People loved
even
him.
after when
I
he-
think that still continues.
Right.
It hasn't been in
Yes.
office for a while, but
I'll try to find here
His
some of his
victory-
rallies.
his victory, you can't pay attention to every country, but his victory, particularly because they tried to assassinate him, really resounded in the United States quite a bit. I
Let
mean,
me see.
the guy was it really a month. It was a month before the election, right?
1 month before the election, he didn't. He
And
didn't couldn't go to the debates.
how many times did they stab him?
No, he stabbed only one.
Yeah.
But the knife come like 15 centimeters
Yes.
inside of the body, and
That's
the guy
right, okay.
twisted.
I remember it now. Yeah. Yeah.
So the doctor said, so he was bleeding inside, and the doctor said like 2 or 3 minutes more on the way to the hospital, he would be done.
Wow.
So he died. He died twice.
Yeah.
And when he arrived in the hospital, he had in the emergency the right specialist that was needed is the gastro surgery guy, and but it was very tough time. This mayor, it is like this is from last year, so 2 years that he was no longer
what was
president.
this?
He's in São Paulo. Is in
Right.
Paulista Avenue.
Wow.
2 years after he's no longer president anymore, and this is the amount of people that
Looks
go
like,
to the streets. Now I have a question for you, tough question.
show that to President Trump.
Which is bigger, Trump rally or Bolsonaro rally?
I don't know. We show that. Oh, the president was that's a small crowd.
That's a big crowd.
When he first showed it to me, I thought it was 6th Avenue.
Yeah, that's real.
Particularly at the very, very beginning,
that's
it looked
real.
like Sixth.
match.
It looked like 6th Avenue,
It does, right.
right around the entrance to Radio City Music Hall.
And did you see the people saying thank you to President Trump and Rubio because they sanctioned the justice from the Supreme Court? Thanks, Trump. Eduardo
look at
Figueiredo. This is Copacabana Beach.
Oh,
Israeli
beautiful.
flag, US flag, sees everybody. And this is not we say bring American flag to the rally or things like that. They just go there and show up with the flags and with the signs. It's just let me see if the people can see. You have a lot of
Yeah, and I can find some. I'm looking right now. So we can put some up on our end. But wow.
That is remarkable. What is that? About 20 or 30 blocks? When we were looking at that, was that about 20 or 30 blocks of people?
sorry, Mayor.
How many? How far was that? Those people that we were looking at. It seemed to me it was about 20 blocks.
I'm sure that on the biggest ones, it can reach almost that.
Yeah.
This one here, I would say, I don't know,
It looks
10, 12 blocks maybe.
Wow.
I think, but more than 1 million
Rio?
people on the streets. This is São Paulo. The last one was Rio, but the one that you saw with the
Was
drone,
São
it was
Paulo.
São Paulo.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
Deus, levanta a mão para quem fez Jesus e vocês vão orar a oração que o Pai nos ensinou, com os braços erguidos para o nosso país, para a nossa pátria, porque nossa bandeira sempre será verde e amarela, e aqui nunca será comunismo, e sim uma democracia.
Yeah, and this is in the capital in Brasilia. And Brasilia is a city of 2.5 million, 2.5 million people. You had a huge support from the farmers. They are praying.
So is it similar to the United States where the more rural areas tend to be conservative and the
Yes.
city areas tend to be liberal and left wing?
Same thing, yes.
But coming from Rio, your father probably has a fair amount of support
Yes,
in the surrounding areas of Rio.
yes, yes,
Family, right?
yes.
I think so, as I recall it, right?
Yes, that's right. I'm elected by the state of São Paulo. but all of the rest of my family is from the state of Rio de Janeiro. I also have a joke because my father, he born in São Paulo. When he became army captain, he did go to the army. So he go to the border with Paraguay and then was transferred to Rio, where he started his political career. I'm from the other way. I born in Rio on the federal police work. I stayed 5 years in the federal police.
In
I
Rio?
start no. I started in the border with Bolivia.
The border, okay.
And then I was transferred to São Paulo. So we switched. He's from São Paulo and got his political career in Rio. I'm from Rio and I got my political career in São Paulo.
Well, how long were you with the police?
5 years.
And did you do a lot of drug investigations?
Yeah, basically is what we do on the border. Because Bolivia is one of the main producers of cocaine. Because we have the largest criminal organization in Brazil is the PCC.
Yeah.
By coincidence, it's not the Chinese Communist Party.
Right.
It's Primeiro Comando da Capital, and what they do is they kill the competitors and they control the routes from the main producers of cocaine to São Paulo, Rio, which are very big cities, a lot of consumers, and then export to the rest of the world. Mainly, they go to Middle East, to South Africa or Europe.
Not to the United States.
Some to the United States,
but
but you have also some ports on the Northeast, or they use, they go through the sea to Mexico, and then from Mexico to here.
In my day, when I was to do drug prosecutions, most of the United States came from Colombia, Mexico,
Yeah,
and most of Venezuela, Bolivia, most of that went over.
because it doesn't make that much sense. Bring it to Brazil to then go to United States because they have their own roads going to US and going to Mexico. It's easier. You get a plane or a boat and do that.
And now the Mexican cartels have taken over what the Colombian cartels used to do. I mean, they just the Mexican cartels are very, very sophisticated. And when I was a prosecutor, they were sort of like subordinate to the Colombians.
Yeah, they were in association.
Yeah, and then they were sort of lower level, and the Colombians really ran everything. And now it's totally different.
They got sophisticated.
The Mexican cartels are represented now in every American city.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
infiltrated the U.S. In the old days, they were in Mexico, but they didn't penetrate the United States. But now almost every city has
Even
representatives of the Mexican cartels. And then when we had our whole 4 years of open border, can you imagine what they brought in? I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it's like it's like, okay, we're wide open. It's like if you're a city that has numerous burglars and every door is left open of every house. they just
No, this policy of no borders is unbelievable. And even last year, we saw that for the very first time, the presence of our cartels here in the United States. Pam Bondi can talk very in details about it. There was an operation here in the US called Take America Back. And for the first time, we saw more than 10 criminals from the PCC here in South Carolina, Florida, and Massachusetts with illegal guns and fentanyl. And I got surprised because usually, as you know, they work in association with other cartels, but they do not run, Brazilians running the drug market by their own. It was the first time, which I got not only surprised, but as an American, you should be concerned about that, because if they are doing that with this presence here, it means that they are sophisticated enough to become, maybe very soon you're going to talk about not only the Mexican cartels or the cartels from Colombia, but also the Brazilian cartels here in the United States. And they are very good because they pay, for example, they pay the university for the lawyers. So you became a lawyer with the money of the cartels, they launder money very sophisticatedly. They are great in what they do.
right.
You should open your eyes for the Brazilian cartels and why Lula is not cooperating with U.S.
Well, because
in this issue.
He's probably involved with them, but or certainly controlled by them. Like Mexico, she's afraid of them. I mean, they kill her. But that's been true of the Mexican president since I can remember. I mean, they go too far, and the cartels are more powerful than the government in Mexico.
Yes, Mexico is other level. I mean, they are not that deep in Brazil, in the Brazilian administration. A little bit for sure, but not in the level of Mexico. We use even the word Mexicanization But Mexico is tough.
Well, maybe before you were born, Colombian cartels were so powerful. And this is what got the government determined they had to break them up. They went into the Supreme Court and they killed 19 judges.
Yeah, I remember
They
that.
walked right into the Supreme Court.
I mean, I saw in the series.
To assert, to basically say we're really in control.
Mhm.
But it was the biggest mistake they made because that actually convinced enough people there. We've got to take it back now. I mean, we can't, this is ridiculous. How are we going to survive?
Taking the judges
Yeah.
out. Like,
Yeah.
That's why I like Bukele from El Salvador.
Yeah.
He did the job. He did the job. This man is unbelievable.
your father.
And I think, yeah, we reduced in 1/3 the number of murders. It was the biggest drop ever.
Bingo.
In the
Yeah.
whole history of Brazil. In the same time that we were giving more access to legal guns.
Yes.
Yeah.
So after 90 years, almost 100 years, for the first time, a civilian in Brazil could buy a rifle. For the first time, farmers could buy pistols and rifles and avoid the invasions. We are using in Brazil socialist movements. They invade hundreds and hundreds of farms every year. On the first year of my father as president, do you know how many invasions did we have in Brazil? 5. I remember on Dilma Rousseff's time, Labor's Party, it was about 400 to 500. Bolsonaro, 5.
Yeah.
Why?
It happened right away.
Huh?
It happened right away.
Yes. And we did the other thing. Like these people usually they claim for lands. And we did this job properly on the way that we can identify who really has the right to have a land and give the piece of land that by the Constitution they deserve.
Right.
So what we did is the movement that the socialism used to invade the lands, it was empty because people start to receive their lands.
Mhm.
The left always promises, they never deliver.
Of course not. Yeah.
And we deliver what they promised.
Right. The left needs poor people, people impoverished and dependent.
Yes.
They can't exist. I mean, that's what the Democrat Party, that's the problem they have. They have to have a dependent population. And I mean, if you go back to the beginning of our poverty programs under Lyndon Johnson, we have spent so much money on poverty that every poor person in the United States should be a millionaire. Except most of that money went to politicians. And that's why they go into Congress worth $200,000. They come out worth $20 million. People wonder, gee, how could that be? As a former prosecutor, I can tell you, don't be naive.
Yeah.
The reason is that they steal the money that's going to go. That's supposed, and I think that's being exposed now in Minnesota.
By the billions.
People couldn't, even when it was only at $1 billion. This small little Somalia community stole $1 billion. It's really $9 billion.
It's a lot.
It's absurd. But
This is a rich country.
But in any,
that's what that tells you, right? That's right.
Believe it or not, they didn't invent it. They learned that
Right.
from others that are doing that all over the country.
Yes.
It's the reason our budget is so high.
It's like Reagan said, the most terrifying words that you can listen is someone from the government knocking your door and say, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah.
That was my boss. Ronald Reagan, my boss and my hero.
Reagan.
But please keep us informed
Yes.
because we want to do anything we can to help save, as your family is doing, your country. Your country is a great country. It could be an unbelievable asset to America, the United States of America, to the world, and to itself.
Now it's an asset for China. Look,
how
the three things that we most send to China is oil, food, and iron.
And you got all of that.
If you have a war, what do you need? Food for the troops, iron for the machines, and oil for the energy to move everything. And for the whole history of Brazil, Mayor, going to the end, I do not want to interrupt you, sorry. Going to the end, since 1822, when you got our independence, and by the way, United States was one of the first countries to recognize the independence of Brazil. Since then, the number one trade partner of Brazil was United States. On 2008, on the second term of Lula da Silva, the current president, then China became our number one trade partner. So what we need is to sweep out.
Is that true now? Is that true now?
Has that
remained that way? I mean, is that true today?
Yeah. Today, China is number one, United States is number two.
Right.
So if you take out this ideology and be connected with United States because we have way more, our culture, it has way more in common with you than with China.
Yeah, sure.
We want to keep trades with China. That's fine. We can earn money. But doing trades with China is not the same thing to do trades with United States.
Yeah.
Some of the farmers, sometimes they send soya grains to China and they say, when the ship was in the middle of the Pacific, they told us that they need to reduce 20% the price of the products. Like, come on. And then what do you do? Because you cannot have an option to send, the ship full of soya grains to other country. You need to find other buyer. And sometimes they take the offer. So I think we would be way more connected. It would be way good for both countries.
It would be. I mean, and for us, when you look at the way South America is turning, it would be a shame if the biggest country in South America, wasn't part of that. I mean, you could affect the rest of it.
Imagine Argentina, Brazil, and US together.
If Colombia and Brazil both make the right decisions in the next election, the whole continent will change.
Yes.
I mean, it's changing, but that would accelerate it.
Yes.
Tremendously.
It would be unbelievable.
Again, just look. I mean, look at the size of your country. I don't think most people realize how much bigger Brazil is than the rest of South America.
Amazon forest is bigger than the whole territory of Europe Union.
Well, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Miriam. It's an honor. It's an honor to be here.
God
Thank you
bless
very
you
much.
and take care of you.
Thank you very much.
And take care of your brother and your father and the rest of your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're dealing with horrible people, but and I have every confidence that assuming you have anything close to a fair election, the people of Brazil is very smart.
That's all we
need.
need.
And they're smart people, and this is a shame what's being done to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame.
Next year, we are going to be back here in the White House.
Yeah.
And then at Mar-a-Lago, having a great dinner.
Yeah.
With the future president of Brazil, together with the president of the United States.
I want to go to Sao Paulo again. I have a picture which I when I was invaded by the FBI, who came in and searched my house and my law office, they took all of my cell phones and they destroyed a lot of the pictures on it accidentally. They really did. I mean, accidentally, in their haste to try to make sure that try to figure out what kind of crime they could develop on me, which they never did. They eventually had a right to the grand jury. They break into my apartment.
Expedition.
They break into my law office. In America, in order to do that, you have to have probable cause that a crime was committed. So somebody had to certify to the judge that a crime was committed. But 2 years later, they had a right to the grand jury that there was no probable cause to have a grand jury investigation. So how could they have had probable cause 2 years earlier and disappeared? Now they won't give me the affidavit because I want to sue them. I can't get the affidavit. But in any event, the reality is that in just a very short time, and that's why I understand how your father very quickly made the changes that happened originally there when he first got elected. I mean, look, we were getting an average of one of Biden's years. We got 3.5 million that came over the border illegally that we know about, and most of the studies of the border say that another 50% come over that you don't know about. So just say half. So we almost had 5 million people that came in illegally. Last year, first year under Trump, it was almost nothing. It was like a couple hundred.
Yeah.
It went down right away. Boom. They even stopped before he came into office. They figured it's over. Everybody thought they were going to make a big run for the border, like in the month before Trump came in while Biden was here. But they actually just gave up. And the last month of Biden was one of his lowest.
I didn't come here and they didn't jump the wall, right?
Yeah.
I'm legal.
Well, he's very legal. And at one time, we used to think of his father as the only honest person in Brazil, the only person you could trust. His family is remarkable. He's remarkable. His father is remarkable. His brother is remarkable.
Thank you, Mayor.
And like me, he's third generation Italian.
Yeah, yeah.
So my grandparents were born in Italy. My parents here. And so I'm my second generation. I'm second generation. You're third generation.
Yes.
So so where do they come from in Italy?
Part from Veneto, part from Lucca.
Wow. Northern Italy then.
Yeah, north.
Yeah.
Good
Half my
wine.
family was from Florence, and half my family was from.
Not Napoli and Sicilia.
Well, yeah, they were. Well,
They helped the U.S. in the Second World War.
half of my family was from Naples and from Avellino.
Avellino, I don't know.
Avellino is a mountain area, separate province, but to the east of Naples.
All right.
It's about an hour and a half out of Naples. It's mountain country. It's where the great earthquake happened about 25 years ago. It's a mountain area of southern Italy. So part of my mother's family comes from there, part from Naples, and then the other family comes from Florence and Montecassino.
And my wife is also Italian descendant.
Where?
I don't know what city.
Well, Brazil has a lot of
Italian
people
descendants.
who are ethnic Italians, right? A very large percentage.
Yeah. If you look to her, you're going to see she is Italian.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh, the kids are beautiful.
Beautiful. This,
God bless.
This is Georgia.
Yeah.
She born in 2020.
She looks just like my granddaughter.
And when she born, Trump lost in Georgia, lost that election. And people start to
Now we know he won.
Yeah.
Now we have figured out exactly how much he won.
And people may joke with me, hey, Eduardo, I know that you like a lot Trump. So Trump lost in Georgia. Are you going to change the name of her daughter?
Yeah. Well, you can tell them that now we can basically, they're trying to get the ballots. So in Georgia, there's no question that they put in, 100,000 phony ballots. From the day that the election happened, we wanted to have a chance to examine them, the Trump people. To this day, we've never seen a piece of paper in Georgia, right? Even to this day, and we've had to go to court and they're fighting it in court. They're still fighting it.
Yep.
And we've never seen a piece of paper in Pennsylvania. Now, if you were accusing me of fixing an election by putting in phony ballots, and my ballots were fine, I'd give them to you right away. I wouldn't spend $10 million to try to stop you from getting them. So, I mean, I don't know what you need to prove to people that the ballots are phony as hell.
I remember this county in Georgia reminded me the county in Bolivia, because in Bolivia it was like the first and the second candidates like running and the counting coming, and then stopped.
Yes.
And then you have the line of the graphic, and then when it started to count again, the second became the first by far. Boom!
That's exactly.
Come on.
Well, that's exactly. We weren't allowed to testify.
But in Bolivia, they
had,
kicked out Evo Morales from the country.
We had numerous experts that could show that with a pattern.
It's impossible.
The same pattern in Georgia, the same pattern in Pennsylvania, the same pattern in Michigan, the same pattern. Also, on the night of the election, in all the places that determined the election, President Trump was ahead by anywhere. In Pennsylvania, he was ahead by 750,000 votes. People, statistical experts would tell me it's statistically impossible to steal enough votes to make that up.
The same election,
they
same thing in Brazil.
They didn't know how crooked they are in Philadelphia. They had no idea. But every single place where he was ahead, after they started counting, threw people out, threw Republicans out, he won every one. What's the statistical possibility to win every single one?
When my father lost the election, we built the biggest conservative caucus since, I don't know, the last 30 years. We elected the main governors of São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and some other cities. Everything was perfect. Only the president we lost.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot in common, unfortunately, in a bad way. Hopefully, and I think it will happen, we're going to have the same thing in common in a good way.
Let's see. We are very hopeful what Maduro is going to talk is going to help the whole region in terms of elections.
Yeah. He knows everything, right?
He knows a lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, thank you very, very much for joining us.
Mayor.
And God bless you and your family. And we'll be back tomorrow night. And we'll be on Wendell TV at 7. We'll be here at X at 8. And gosh, there's There's plenty to cover, and this is remarkable. I mean, I think most people who watch this show know the significance of his dad in Brazil and what he meant for Brazil, and what this next election will mean for them. It's very exciting and very wonderful to see these things happening in with our neighbors and our friends. So pray for them.
Thank you, Mayor.
Pray for their safety and their success, and pray for the people in Ukraine, and pray for the people in Israel, and pray for the people in Iran who have been living under this insane religious theocracy for so long, and they're being killed left and right. So just pray for them, and pray for us, and pray for our president, that he has the strength and the will and the fortitude to do all the difficult things he has to do. He has it, but he needs God's help. God bless America.
Let's welcome our brother, Robert Ritchie.
Oh, is that the...
You can tell your old man you'll do some largemouth fishing another time. You got too much on your plate to bait and cast a line. You can always put a rain check in his hand till you can't, till you can't. You can keep putting on forever with that girl whose heart you hold, swearing that you'll ask someday further down the road. You can always put a diamond on her hand till you can't, till you can't. If you got a chance, take it. Take it while you got a chance. If you got a dream, chase it, 'cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold them as long and as strong and as close as you can. Until you can't, till you can. Now there's a box of greasy parts sitting in the trunk of that 65, still waiting on you and your grandpa to bring it back to life. You can always get around to fixing up that old Pontiac till you can't, till you can't. If you got a chance, take it. Take it while you got a chance. If you got a dream, chase it, 'cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold them as long and as strong and as close as you can. Till you can, till you can. You know, I awoke one Sunday morning all alone with this song stuck in my head. And in that moment, something or someone spoke to me. They said there was still a verse that needed to be written for this song, and to get up and write it down. There's a book that's sitting in your house somewhere that could use some dusting off. There's a man who died for all our sins, hanging from the cross. You can give your life to Jesus, and he'll give you a second chance till you can't, till you can't. If you got a chance, take it while you got a chance. If got a dream, chase it, 'cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold them as long and as strong and as close as you can, until you can, until you can. If you got a chance, take it while you got a chance. If you got a dream, chase it, 'cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold them as long and as strong and as close as you can, until you can, until you can, until you can.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense.